All right, let's jump right in. If you think the whole AI race is just about giants like OpenAI battling Google, you are missing a much bigger story that's unfolding. We're talking about a massive global shift away from a single one-size-fits-all AI world.
And that really is the question, isn't it? Because what we're talking about here isn't just some tech trend. No, this is a fundamental reshaping of technology, national security, and honestly, global power itself.
For the longest time, the model was super simple. All the best, most cutting-edge AI came from California, and the rest of the world basically just plugged into that ecosystem. This created this one powerful hub that really set the pace for the entire planet.
But that era, it's pretty much over. Those neat lines that all flowed back to one single place, they're breaking apart. We are now in a totally new phase, one that's being defined by this term you're going to hear a lot more: AI nationalism. It's a new race where every country wants to build and control its own AI destiny. So why this sudden, dramatic change? Well, it all boils down to the immense risk that nations now see in renting their intelligence from another country. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It's no longer considered efficient or innovative to just rely on somebody else's AI infrastructure. Now, it's seen as a critical vulnerability, a direct threat to a nation's independence.
I mean, let's just break this down for a second. Imagine you're running a government or a major bank. If your entire digital backbone is built on some foreign company's API, what happens if they just change their terms of service overnight? Or even worse, what if politics get messy and suddenly sanctions cut off your access completely? And where is all your citizens' sensitive data really living? At the end of the day, when you're just renting, you don't actually own your own future.
So the solution to this huge problem is a concept called sovereign AI. To put it simply, this is all about a nation's ability to create and manage its own artificial intelligence, from top to bottom. We're talking about using its own hardware, its own data that reflects its own culture, and building up its own local talent to support the whole thing.
Now, making this happen isn't just a matter of policy. It actually requires a completely new kind of technical setup, an architecture that is fundamentally different from the cloud-based systems most of us are used to. You can think of it as having three core layers for what you might call a national AI factory. First, you need the actual physical hardware, the computer servers, the GPUs, and they have to be located on your own soil. Second, you need what's called indigenous data. I mean, a model trained on American internet slang is not going to understand the nuances of French law, right? And third, and this is crucial, you need to deploy these models in secure, air-gapped environments, completely disconnected from the public internet.
And listen, this isn't just some theory. It is happening right now. The UK is pouring money into its Isambard AI supercomputer. India is building its own localized GPU clusters, and even big tech is getting on board. We're seeing this huge surge in enterprise tools like Microsoft's Azure Local, designed specifically for these kinds of secure private AI systems.
So this massive architectural shift is kicking off a whole new kind of global race. And what's fascinating is that different countries and regions are all adopting their own unique strategies based on their own goals.
Okay, what's so interesting here is how it breaks down the different game plans. If you look at the US and the UK, a lot of the push is coming from big companies who just want total control over their private data. But then you look at India, and it's all about building digital public services for a massive linguistically diverse population. And then for nations like Russia, it's purely about resilience, building systems that are totally immune to Western sanctions.
So we've covered geopolitics, we've talked about architecture, but what in the world does this mean for you, for your career? This is where this huge global trend gets very personal, very fast.
We are right in the middle of a massive career pivot. For years, a ton of developer jobs were basically about connecting to other people's tools through something called an API. Well, these so-called API wrapper developers, that skill is rapidly becoming obsolete. The new, highly paid specialist is the person who can actually build, deploy, and manage AI models on local, private servers. Let me be absolutely crystal clear about this. If your entire value add at work is just sending prompts to an external service, your job is in a really vulnerable position. The value is shifting, and it's shifting fast, from using the tool to building and managing the entire system yourself. So what's the flip side?
This right here, this is the new million-dollar skill set. Can you deploy a large language model locally? Can you take an open source model and fine-tune it on a company's private, secure data? Can you manage the whole life cycle of that model, what we call MLOps, in a totally disconnected, air-gapped environment? This is what companies and governments are desperate for and are willing to pay a massive premium for.
So the big takeaway is this. The future of AI isn't going to be one giant global brain in the cloud. It's going to be a mosaic of thousands of independent, sovereign AIs, each one tailored to its own culture, its own language, and its own laws. The only question left is, are you prepared for that future?